Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Foreclosure Help 777, where we talk about everything foreclosure related. Today we're going to talk about a case that's pretty important in the state of Arizona, and let's take a look at this. Okay, now I have this case, which is out of Arizona, on my website, Foreclosure Help 777. You can look at it here. I have the actual opinion. And there's an actual article here about it. Arizona Supreme Court, expired mortgage debt can't block lien removal. So let's take a look at that. If you look at this actual case, let's take a look. Okay, so the case is out of Arizona, as I said, and let's see if we can get to the top here. It's Aroca versus Tang. Okay, and this is a new case that came out on the 17th of April, so it's kind of new. So it's saying here, in a ruling that redefines how dormant liens are treated under Arizona law, the state Supreme Court has concluded that property owners may quiet title against a deed of trust even when the mortgage debt has not been paid, if enforcement of the underlying debt is barred by the statute of limitations. The March 31st decision in Jose Aroca and Kirsten Aroca versus Tang Investment Co, LLC marks a significant departure from long-standing precedent and clarifies the limit of lien enforceability for mortgage professionals statewide. The case involves a 2007 loan agreement in which Jose and Kirsten Aroca executed a $40,000 promissory note in favor of Tang Investment Co, LLC. The note was secured by a deed of trust on the Aroca's real property in Pinal County. Under the terms of the note, the Arocas were to make an interest-only payment starting in 2008 with the entire unpaid balance due in a balloon payment April 30th, 2012. So, that's not very fair, is it, guys? Anyway, after making only 1 year's worth of interest payments, the Arocas stopped paying. Tang Investment never filed a foreclosure or initiated any legal action to collect the debt. More than a decade later, in 2022, the Arocas sued to quiet title, arguing that the statute of limitations on the note, 6 years under Arizona Revised Statutes 12548A1, had expired, rendering the lien unenforceable. Tang did not dispute that the 6-year period had lapsed, but claimed that the deed of trust remained valid under Arizona Revised Statutes 33714A2, which allows a mortgagee or a deed of trust to remain on record for 50 years, if the final maturity date is not ascertainable from the recorded documents. Because the deed of trust itself did not specify the note's maturity date, Tang asserted that it retained the right to enforce the lien until 2057. The trial court accepted Tang's argument and dismissed Aroca's complaint. The Arizona Court of Appeals reversed, holding that the expiration of the statute of limitations to enforce the note also barred enforcement of the deed of trust. So they're time barred. The Arizona Supreme Court granted review, framing the case as a conflict between early 20th century equitable principles and modern statutory law. Writing for a unanimous court, Justice King ruled that the statute enacted by the legislature, ARS 1104B, governs when a lien can be removed from property via a quiet title action. This statute provides that if the remedy for enforcement of a lien is barred by limitation, the plaintiff is entitled to a judgment barring the lien. The court emphasized that this statutory right overrides earlier common law decisions, including Provident Mutual Building Loan Association versus Schweiner, a 1914 case which had required debtors to pay their loan in full before obtaining a quiet title, even if the claim was time-barred. The holding in Provident may not change or upset the rights set forth in 12-1104B, the court stated. Section 12-1104B prevails. In addressing Tang's reliance on ARS 33-714, the justices made a critical distinction. While the statute allows a deed of trust to remain recorded for up to 50 years, it does not function as a statute of limitations for legal enforcement. It merely prescribes the outer boundary for a lien's duration in the absence of earlier discharge or expiration. Enforcement of the lien through foreclosure or trustee sale remains subject to the same statute of limitations that govern actions on the underlying debt. In this case, that period was 6 years from the date the debt became due in 2012. The court also cited ARS 33-816, which requires that a foreclosure or trustee sale proceedings commence within the same limitation period applicable to the contract secured by the deed of trust. Since Tang had not taken any such action before 2018, its enforcement rights had expired. As a result, the court reversed the trial court's judgment in favor of Tang, affirmed the Court of Appeals ruling, and remanded the case for entry of judgment in favor of the Arocas. The ruling is particularly relevant for mortgage lenders and servicers overseeing aged portfolios or liens that have been inactive for long periods. It reinforces that a recorded lien, while still appearing in county records, may become legally unenforceable once the statute of limitations has run. Property owners can then pursue quiet title actions to eliminate those liens from their record, even if they have not paid the underlying debt. Okay, so moreover, the decision confirms that statutory rights enacted by the legislature take precedence over earlier judge-made equitable doctrines. For servicers and counsel managing dormant liens, the case underscores the importance of monitoring limitation periods and acting within enforceable timelines. In Aroca v. Tang Investment Co., LLC, the Arizona Supreme Court has provided definitive guidance. When a lien holder fails to enforce its rights within the statutory period, it may no longer rely on the presence of a recorded deed of trust to assert control over a property. And that's good news for us. All right, so that's the end of that story. The actual, I asked AI about that. I said, can you tell me more about this? And it told me to go to the Arizona courts, Arizona, and I found it. You just go to the search and it comes right up. And the case is CV240049-PR. And as you can see, the opinion is right here. It came down on 3/31/25. So it's interesting to look through these files, guys. If you want to know what I mean, you can actually look at everything for free here. And I just pulled it up to look at it briefly so I can see what it looks like. And you can see here's the actual opinion by the judge. And it's saying that if you go to the end, where the good part is, you can read the conclusion, which is probably the best thing. Although we agree with the Court of Appeals' ultimate holding, we vacate paragraphs 1 through 16 and 19 of the Court of Appeals' opinion to replace its reasoning with our own. We leave paragraphs 17 and 18 of the Court of Appeals' opinion intact, as the parties did not ask this court to review the attorney's fees awarded in the Superior Court or Court of Appeals. We reverse the Superior Court's judgment in favor of Tang and remand the Superior Court for entry of judgment in favor of the Arocas. We also decline Tang's request for attorney's fees and costs pursuant, as Tang is not the successful party. Okay, guys, this was a really good, it's always good to hear good news, right, for a change? So, Arizona, you guys have a good case, so you can file your quiet title actions if you haven't paid the debt in 6 years. Go for it, guys, since there's case law to back you up. Okay, if you guys have any questions about this case, you come to my Facebook page, Foreclosure Help 777, or you can send me an email. My email address is the number 4, foreclosurehelp777@gmail.com. If you have any questions about your own situation, or you need a little assistance, I can certainly help you with that. Or you can join me on my private Facebook group where we help each other out, guys. Hope everyone has a blessed day.